Ice Creations Radio. This is Internet Talk Radio, available through our website, redicecreations.com. I'm your host, Henrik Palmgren, and we are recording from the west coast of Sweden. Thank you for tuning in to this Sunday edition of our program. And today we have back with us on the show our monthly regular, Alan Watt, and it's always a pleasure and a treat to spend time cutting through the matrix with Mr. Watt. And Alan's website, of course, is cuttingthroughthematrix.com, or you can try .net also. Check it out, follow along in his excellent audio blurbs, and take a look at the books and the DVDs and all the material that he's got available there for you. So I hope things have been good since we last spoke, Alan. Welcome. It's great to have you back on the line.
It's a pleasure to be here.
Great. You know, we received a few word emails about a few weeks ago regarding your website being down and so forth, and your audio blurbs were not available. I guess you had some issues over there, but everything is back and up and running now, I guess.
Yeah, I gave a talk on disclosed and verified information on the CIA bringing in the drugs to sell on the streets of the U.S. and rehashing the old Iran-Contra deal. Mm-hmm. And someone at the top didn't like it, I think.
So they
rehashed this kind of stuff and put the word in to give me a hard time.
So did you did someone attack the web server or something like that? Do you know where this came from?
Yeah, Yahoo pulled one of the sites down.
Mm-hmm.
Went round in circles, didn't ever really get to the bottom of it. And also at the same time, we're getting viruses and Trojans sent into the website. So someone got annoyed.
Yeah, maybe a hint that you're on the right track.
This is the sort of nonsense they do.
Yeah.
They do this kind of stuff for harassment's sake. And,
yeah.
It's quite easy for them to do since they can get into anybody's site. That's by law.
Yeah.
The government agencies can get into anybody's site and play around with it. Yeah.
And it takes a lot of time, and I guess that's the main issue in one sense, that it takes such a long time to get things back up and running again, and by then you're behind on the work and behind on email answering and so forth, all of that.
Yeah, in fact, one weekend can set you back 2 weeks.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah,
quite easily.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. So I'm glad things are up and running, and you have a few mirror sites more now, I guess, because traffic has been heavy on all of your sites, I guess.
Yes, and it's also a safety in case, again, Yahoo could pull the sites at any time.
Mm-hmm.
And it suddenly dawned on me that you could lose all your information and have no backup.
Exactly, yeah.
So at least this way, although it could be done, but it's highly unlikely they could pull all the sites at once.
Yeah.
Yeah.
On different internet ISP companies or something like that, so it's more difficult, yeah. All right, yeah. Last time we talked during our regular show, we finished off on a note about the Mayflower, and maybe it would be appropriate to spend some time on this, talking about the kind of the beginnings of the Americas, and how, why, and when, I guess, the continent was colonized at first. We recently there were the 275th birthday of founder and Masonic president of the U.S., George Washington.
Yeah.
And a simple search, I guess, on Wikipedia on the Mayflower, of course, states that the Mayflower was the ship that transported the Pilgrim Fathers from Plymouth, England, to Virginia, U.S. And Alan, are you saying that there's something to add to that?
Yes, obviously this wasn't the first part of the colonization, and yet so much attention is given to this particular group coming in. People had been coming in for a long time beforehand, but it became almost part of the American tradition that there was something very special about the Mayflower coming in. Mm-hmm. And they've never really gone into it except when you follow the history of the Mayflower, it was to do with families from different parts of Europe that went under a cover of Christianity. They were tended to be very wealthy families,
Mm-hmm.
and going under sort of Puritan guise. And their ancestry often were into revolutionaries in different parts of Europe, the Waldenses and different sects. They ultimately all became part of the Puritan movement, and they moved into the U.S. And even, as I say, the name of the ship, the Mayflower, May Day is their big day.
Yeah.
And the mysteries. Yeah.
So these are the pilgrims. Do you know why they call it this? The name? Where does it?
Well, a
come
pilgrim was often, especially in the 1800s, in fact, it was common in Freemasonic meetings when you met someone to call them a pilgrim or a traveler. It was one who was on the journey, looking, seeking that which was lost. That's what they would say. Are you a pilgrim?
Ah.
And so it's part of a mystery religion. And I'm sure lots of the Puritans came in, and they were actually descended from the Albigensians of Europe.
This is a family bloodline?
That and almost a separate religion, which could almost emulate and simulate Christianity, but it had an esoteric side to it. It's part of a mystery-type religion.
Okay.
The Cathars and the Albigensians rivaled, in parts of Europe, they rivaled the Catholic Church at one time. They also had an almost mirror-type image of the Catholic hierarchy structure. They were very wealthy people. They had their own bishops and priests, but they had almost a mirror image and yet an opposite viewpoint on what the God was. And the God of the world was their enemy, according to them. And therefore, he who ruled the world was Satan.
Ah, okay. And did they...
Anything off the world was Satan's. And they also had a form of almost reincarnation belief tucked away, hidden in the esoteric side of the religion that was kept quiet from the lower orders.
It sounds very Gnostic, I guess, in some terms.
Yes.
Yeah.
And also they believed that it was doing a child no favor to bring them into this world. So, there's a lot written during the Inquisitions about them.
Yeah.
We don't know how much is true, because obviously those who are the victors always defame those that they beat. But over and over again, we do know they had almost a communal type celebratory days or festivals, which in a sense were orgiastic.
Okay, yeah. So, I mean, do you think that some of these actually infiltrated themselves within, the Catholic Church and stuff like this? This is, must have happened in
I'm sure of it. In fact, when they scattered, it's odd. Here's the Vatican declaring the last crusade, which was not in the Middle East. It was in parts of Europe, and it was against the Cathars and the Albigensians.
Yeah.
That was the last crusade that was ordered by the papacy. And they chased them. They didn't all get killed or slaughtered. Many of them did. And you'll find from the Holy Blood, Holy Grail, this kind of stuff. This is what they're always leading to, of those that escaped with the relics of their holy religion.
Sure.
They always wrap it in without telling you the whole story. Because they were wrapped in with the Templars and different organizations, brotherhoods.
Yeah.
Even though they were mainly a lay-type organization where they did marry, as opposed to the Knights Templars, they didn't marry, but they had their lay organization, and the Cathars and Albigensians seem to have been it.
Interesting. You mentioned the Puritans also. What's for those that don't know, what is this group? Is this a Christian group?
Yeah, the Puritans were it's almost a reverting to the Old Testament laws, where everything became somber. There was to be no dancing, no gaiety, no happiness, just hard work and praising God quietly.
Yeah.
That was the Puritan movement. That was it was really financed from Holland into existence, especially in England, through Oliver Cromwell. His whole army was financed by Holland, the bankers of Holland. Yeah. And they took over Britain for a while and introduced the Puritan movement.
Interesting.
So it was a time when everything was very, very strict. There was no spontaneity. They didn't allow music in the churches. It was all very, very somber. And they wore black, of course.
One thing that comes to mind is the Amish people. Very interesting. Do you think that these are connect with the Puritans in any way?
You will find that all of them have their roots around the same time period. The Amish and different groups originated in Germany. They kept a lot of their traditions and their language often. When I look at the groups like the Amish or the Mennonites, I see it a bit differently. I see them all almost like experiments in controlled breeding. Because you're taking a group out of a population, and within that group you arrange marriages, and their marriages are arranged. And you can select under a controlled study of who marries whom, and it's almost like an experiment in breeding. That's how I see these things.
Yeah.
And the same with the Mormons.
And these, do they pick each other's, wives and so forth there too in the Mormons?
Yeah, very, very often. Their wives are picked for them, and in the Mennonites, for instance, there's big money involved in marriages because they tend to be pretty wealthy people, the Mennonites and Amish, and when weddings take place, it's almost a business deal between the families because big estates are involved, often very large tracts of land, lots of money. So there's a lot more than just, they don't allow them just to pick their own mate.
Okay, yeah. One thing that comes to mind when speaking about the Mormons is it feels like there's a lot of also Old Testament connections and going back to the stuff about Israel and so forth. I know that there's some Freemasonic connection to it all, but do you know about the Salt Lake, the area? Is the connection between Israel and the Salt Lake in what's I don't know? Do you know what the region is called?
Yeah, there's a Dead Sea.
Yeah.
As well, the Dead Sea in Israel is salt.
That's right. Yeah.
And so there's a connection to an extent there, but I think it's even more so than that. Joseph Smith is the founder of the Mormon group.
Yeah.
And once again, you'll find that Joe Smith was a Mason, a Freemason.
Yeah.
You can find that they have an order called the elect for men within Mormonism. And when you become an electi and you're elected in, you go through the same rituals and the same secret oaths as Freemasonry. They're identical. They are the same. They're one and the same thing.
Yeah.